First of all, it is about PFAS, and I would like to raise a question. Shouldn't we ban all the PFAS? And I know your answer right now because you're saying, oh, well, that is not possible at all, because I know you. I want like to go a little bit through the history first, before we raise the question and put a little bit, or let's say have a look on the devil in the room, or let's say the big elephant in the room. The first thing, if we have a PFAS show, we should go through the history and should tell the people, okay, 3M used the first time PFAS, right? It was in 47 with the PFAS. That was the first one. And the first thing in 61, DuPont found that PFAS could harm something. They did some tests with rats and all that. And the first...
You've seen the movie, right?
The movie is Dark Waters, by the way, for all who wants to dig deep into that topic and wants to have a little bit of Hollywood atmosphere, which is pretty good, by the way. The first time, really, DuPont in 61 discovered, okay, there's something wrong. So it was the first time. In 81, even 3M found that PFOA ingested by rats caused birth defects, right? And 2 of 7 employees who give birth to child, they had a defect on the child. So that was the next sign. In 84, DuPont tested public water supplies, and they figured out, okay, all limits are a little bit too high for PFAS, and so on and so on.
All right, we eat tonight.
Wait a minute.
And that really leads us into a discussion which, is not ended. The EU, for instance, is going to think, in January, we have the first hint by the EU government that they want to forbid something, that they are thinking to forbid, or at least they put it on a very top level. EPA last year, they came all and say, well, Gen X, for instance, 17 times higher what we ever thought.
Well, Gen X wasn't regulated at all. It wasn't even on the health advisory. It was the first time they put it on.
Correct. But all the others, even there, they said...
PFOA, they said 17 times higher than what they had before, and 100,000 times higher.
All I'm saying is, since decades, we know it is so harmful. We know we have it in our blood. You have it, your kids have it, my kids have it in their blood. We all know that. Why don't we ban that? We had the example with some years ago with CFCs. 35 years ago, we banned CFCs because we saw that there's an effect. And now the ozone effect in the atmosphere, the ozone hole, is almost closed. One of the reasons is that we banned CFC. So if we see things like that, why are we not going just to ban that? I know that the full industry would say it doesn't work. We have it everywhere. We have it here in my iPad. We have it in my watch. I have it at home, everywhere. But aren't we so smart to find an alternative for PFAS if we just ban it? Instead of going after and try to find a solution after a solution after a solution, and we find it's harmful and people died, people get sick all the way long. It would be in principle easy. I know it's not easy to replace these things and that we have issues with that.
Easy.
But it would be easy to ban, but it is not easy to replace it. I'm fully aware about that. But humankind has proven that they will find a way to overcome this. CFC is the best example. Even now, we have still fridges, right? Your fridge is working, my fridge is working.
And it's full of PFAS.
But
we've replaced CFC by PFAS, so you have to find a solution for the fridges.
But then find one maybe next time, which is better than PFAS, which doesn't harm the environment, which doesn't harm our human body. One other thing which really triggered me, and I mean, we all know, yes, DuPont, we all blame DuPont, we all blame 3M and so on and so on. 3M said, well, I don't want to produce any PFAS anymore. And I was thinking to myself, let's say a little bit in a sarcastic way, there was a merger some years ago with DuPont and Dow.
Just come on! What? No!
Yeah, wait.
You see? No big deal.
Isn't that an evil move that you have here a company who's producing all the PFAS, and on the same side, you're just acquiring or you merge with another company who has some film tech RO membranes to treat the PFAS water? Isn't that a little bit a devil's game here we are in? And that is a little bit the question I really would like to raise. Shouldn't we just ban? I know that would be a very harsh solution.
Do you know the Minamata conference?
The Minamata?
Yeah.
No.
the Minamata conference decided to ban mercury. And we know that mercury, I mean, you wouldn't drink mercury, would you?
No, for sure not.
That's why your thermometer at home doesn't have mercury anymore. It's something else.
True.
Everything has been replaced. Everything. But really everything? Don't you know an application in the water industry which still uses mercury?
There's something, but I can't.
UV lamps.
Yes, true.
UV lamps. All the UV we use to disinfect our water, it's vapor mercury lamps. So it is banned for now over a decade. There's Minamata, there's RoHS, but it is banned with an asterisk. And the asterisk says it is banned unless you are in a situation where there is no suitable alternative, in which case you can keep doing it. Which means eventually, if UV LED catches up, then mercury will go out of UV lamps and mercury will fade out.
Okay.
Now the link to PFAS. If tomorrow you ban PFAS itself is one substance, but the family of
40,000
perfluoride, it's 4,700 in the world. If we look at Europe, we use 2,300 of them.
Sure.
We use them for things where you will have a hard time to explain people that you ban it.
I know.
Take a flame retardant. You ban the flame retardant and then a dramatic fire happens and people die. What will you tell them? That they died of fire because you didn't want them to die from cancer?
Don't be stupid,
That's
Antoine.
the way it will be working.
But all I'm saying is, for sure, you have to find a way to replace it. We all know that there are smart solutions to replace it. Maybe they are not better. Maybe they are more expensive. Maybe they have other drawbacks. But why not at least testing that? To say, well, it harms us. Yes, my kids have it in the blood. What would you do if it figured out that some of your kids would really have that and they have a horrible time? What would you do? You would be one of the first would say, well, we should ban that now. Otherwise, how you would explain that to your kids? And all I'm saying is we should at least think about that. I know that we have 4,000 of these PFAS everywhere. It is everywhere. I know that. If we don't ban that, no alternative will come up because there's no market. If you keep PFAS, nobody will develop a solution because he knows, well, PFAS is, well, this product is much cheaper, maybe better, but it has PFAS, and as long as it's not banned, my product will not come up. I will not be successful. That's why I not develop something. If you would ban PFAS from now on, you start tomorrow, you will find hundreds of ideas immediately. I'm 100% sure. That's humankind. That's humankind.
I think you're right. I think that these 100 of ideas will exist. I think that at least 70 out of the 100 will be worse than PFAS.
I'm not sure whether they are worse. Maybe they are. Maybe we don't have the effects right now. Sure.
We will take 20, 30 more years to realize they are worse, and then we will have to agree that they are worse, and then we will ban those worst solution, and we will look for something which is again worse. The thing is,
okay, what is the alternative? To live with that? To say,
yes.
Okay, everybody, sorry guys. Antoine is telling you, you have to live that your kids have PFAS in your blood. Sorry, that's it. So we can end
There's so many things in our blood. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but today we are just talking about PFAS.
The thing is, I'll make you my best impersonation of Donald Trump I can do, which is, sounds good, doesn't work.
Sounds good, doesn't work.
So take it as you want. But my point here is, yeah, great, you ban PFAS. And so what? I mean, look, I won't take your favorite example of the car manufacturer. I'm going to take another example, which is the clothing industry. Everybody tells you fast fashion is terrible. It's bad for the planet. You should stop that. Let's ban it, everybody. Everybody knows that. And still, the fast fashion brands are very successful because people say something and then they do something else. So you will tell people, let's ban PFAS. And then they will say, yeah, that's a good idea. PFAS is dangerous. Let's ban it. And then the next day, they will have something where they had the use of PFAS because it's pretty convenient when you are out there in the cold and you can have your shoes being isolated. You love that. And you say, hey, why do we go back in time? And do we have to again have our wet foot? That is really what we have to be ready to do. And I know you want to concentrate on PFAS, but to me, mercury is a good example. To me, the way we deal with micropollutants is a good example. To me, the way we've had several fads of this is dangerous, let's ban it, and then everybody forgets it. It's the same story.
But why we are talking about that? Why we are developing technologies to get rid of that if nobody cares?
It's not a matter of nobody cares. It's you don't want to have it in your water. You don't want to have it in the air you breathe.
But we have to be realistic and we have to tell the people the truth. It is not just the water. It is everywhere. PFAS is even here.
Sure.
So, and that is the point.
Sure,
and
but at least you can avoid to ingest it in quantities which might be harmful. I mean, if you look at what EPA came up in terms of health advisory, are they saying it's almost always dangerous because they go to parts per quadrillion? But what happens? As long as it's not regulated, first, it doesn't exist. First. Second, you've said it. We and I'm going to quote Seth Siegel, who said me exactly that on that microphone, who said me,
You think it was just this year that we discovered PFAS was a problem? We've known PFAS is a problem for a while now, and yet we just let it go and let it go and let it go.
we know it since
We know
decades.
it.
That's why I'm came
We
with
know
the
it.
story. Yes.
but if you don't come with a better alternative,
But the alternative will not come if you don't do something again. If you say, well, okay, we have to treat it now with that technology, you have to do that, and you have to have this limit, blah, 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 blah. You will not replace it. Nothing will happen. The industry will still use PFAS for their products. But if you ban it, then it's a different dynamic. That's all I'm saying.
That's easy to say. Let's ban it. It's
Absolutely,
simply not realistic.
absolutely. I fully agree with you. But let's say if we don't give it a chance to think about and to speak about that, then nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. We can talk about technologies, which we will do later.
Thank you.
Is this too much?
But what is the result? There is no one technology which can remove everything. And maybe in 10 years we will find, okay, we haven't overlooked this PFAS. It was not on the list,
I
right?
think you're being really black or white, like always.
Yes.
And the thing is,
But
life
that-
itself is a risk. You come to Earth, and there's a major risk that at some point
But
you
shouldn't
die. And
we as society ensure
life is
to minimize the risk?
It's not a matter of minimizing, it's a matter of managing the risk. Whatever we do in our lives is a risk.
Life finds a way.
If we decide to get rid of PFAS, why not? Let's do it. But then it means it will have consequences because the services they were giving us, we will no longer have it. We will replace it by something which might be worse, which might be better, you don't know. So you're replacing something which we start to understand by something we don't understand at all and which doesn't exist yet. And you're relying on the same companies which have developed those to develop the next ones. And everybody's happy, but sorry, the same causes often do the same consequences. So that's one thing. And the other side of that story is that PFAS today sure has drawbacks, but it has also benefits. I mentioned the flame retardant. There's the isolation capabilities.
Sure.
It's the foam which helps you to stop a fire. I mean, it has a lot of perks. And by killing one risk, you're going to generate other risks. And I'm no one to tell which risk balance is the best. I'm just saying that it is really too easy to say, let's ban it.
Okay, but what is the solution? To say, well, we know must we have this limit and we have to this technology and then we can use it and we still have it in the blood and still children die. Really, Antoine? No, come on.
Children die. Oh,
I mean,
that's so easy.
you're saying life has a risk. Okay, sure. So why are we going to change the climate change? Why are we doing that? You don't believe in that? So why are you doing things like that? Has a risk. Come on.
It's a terrible way to do an argumentation.
No,
I mean,
but
how can
you
we have a discussion to say, you're against,
you are saying
you're
it has
saying
a
that-
risk and we have to live with that. Okay,
You're saying that
end of
banning
story.
PFAS is realistic, then you must be against climate change.
And
the link.
No,
Woohoo, the point. Woohoo.
No, I'm not saying. You are saying life has a risk. It's not about PFAS. You're saying life has a risk. Okay, and we have to live with the risk. Okay, but why are we? Then let's take the risk. We could save so much money without putting all the technologies so far.
Who
and
says
we
you're
can
saving
give
money?
it to the people.
Who saves you're saving money? You ban it. Okay, we have to replace it with something which might be more expensive.
No, all you are saying is no. I taking your example. You are saying life is as a risk. So then let's save all the money we want to spend to remove PFAS and give it to the people that they have a better life and then they can live with the risk a better way.
Björn, one day you will have to understand that it's not black or white and that
Yeah,
it's
but
shaded
that-
gray, because
no, but
what you're
that
saying now
is-
is ridiculous.
No,
what I'm saying
what-
is it's about managing the risk. Managing the risk is not saying I put my
You said clearly
my
you
hand
have
in
to
the
live
sand
with that.
and I say la 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 la, I don't see it. It's not that. It's about PFAS is something we start to understand when we
start to understand. It is,
Yeah.
again, wait. 7 the first results that it is harmful. 61. We start to understand was more than 60 years.
That was one of the PFAS, and the one which was found to be
Yeah, but it is
the
everything
one which
started.
was found to be dangerous in 74. That one is not in circulation
No,
anymore.
61.
For a
61.
while. Let me give you an example because you want to be stupid. Let's be stupid.
No, not be stupid, but I want to
have
be clear.
drugs which are forbidden. For instance, it is not allowed to go out and take some cocaine. Okay. So far we agree.
I know that you are used to that, sure.
Okay, so cocaine is forbidden. Cocaine is a pretty complex formula. Now you take that formula and you change one covalent ion. You change it to something else. It's no longer cocaine. It's going to be cocaine
Whatever.
something. That new thing is not banned because what's banned is cocaine. So that new thing, as it is not banned, it is authorized. And so you could even go out, open a shop and sell it until a new regulator comes and say, oh, that cocaine with that new covalent ion, that's forbidden as well. And then you change another covalent ion and that new thing is not banned. So it is authorized. Do you want to play that catch game with a chemical industry, which is going to be years ahead of you, which is going to, on top of that, have patents to protect you to even understand the formula they are putting you inside? No, we have something, we start to understand what they do. We start to say, okay, compared to 10 years ago, we do know now, and we acknowledge it's 100,000 times more dangerous.
Are you getting money? Are you lobbyists by the chemical industry? You are arguing like that, really?
I'm arguing by saying that we should control them, and I'm listen
to yourself a little bit. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying that we should ban. At least we should think about that, and we don't develop any solution if we say, okay, it harms. Let's monitor for the next 3 years.
Let's ban cars.
No,
we will find a way, like bikes or horses.
And then after we have monitored that, okay, we know now this, let's monitor again, let's give that limit, let's do this and this and this. It will not push the industry forward to replace PFAS. That's all I'm saying. And that will not happen. And that is in principle, or let's say that should be the goal, that we replace the parts which harm us, which harm me, which harm my children. Sorry, I care about my children and I care about my life. And that's why I'm saying we should find a replacement for that. And that is not what happened. No, it's not. No, you're just saying it's a life risk, so live with that and go away.
George W. Bush barely choked on the bretzel, so let's ban bretzel because it's dangerous.
That is stupid. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to come to the same level of arguments.
The argument is coming by you. I mean, I'm totally serious. If nothing happened, the industry is not striving forward to replace the PFAS in our products. If nothing happened. And that's what I'm saying.
One last thing, and then I think we're running in circles, so we can move on to my top 3. But there is a fundamental difference between the European Union and the United States.
Wow.
In the European Union,
REACH and
you
EPA.
get a new thing, and until it is proven to be manageable enough in terms of risk, it is forbidden. And once REACH or whoever in charge has said it is okay, then it goes out and it is authorized, which means that if a European company is leveraging one of these PFOA or whatever it is, which has been authorized by the European Union, and something happens, well, they can always come back and say, hey, you authorized me to use it, so I'm fine. And if you look at the number of PFAS in Europe, which are used at more than 1 ton per year, which is the threshold at which REACH really is enforced, it's very low, which means that basically it is almost unregulated because REACH has a limited. So if you want to correct that, I agree with you. Now, you take the US approach. The US approach is to say everything is allowed as long as it's not forbidden. So it's the other way around. But if now you start using something which later proves out to be harmful, dangerous, then you're liable for that. If I do my cocaine again, I put it on the market, it's not forbidden, so I can do it. But if now people take it, become addicts, lose their lives, die from it, commit suicide, I am liable for that. I was the one creating cocaine and I was the one putting it on the market. And to me, that is a much stronger burden on the industrials. And we'll discuss that again in my top 3, so I don't want to go in the depth on that one right now. But they will care about their liabilities because they will care about the billions which they risk and which will put them in bankruptcy.
Okay. Sure. No, you will not put the DuPont in bankruptcy.
Why not?
Will not happen because on the other hand, they get a lot of money with Dow because we are taking the aero membranes to treat that.
Already today, they have multi-billion liabilities on PFAS.
Sure.
Now you put the threshold thus low that we're not speaking of some billions, but of several hundred of billions potentially of liabilities. At some point, if we can prove that they were the source of all of that, they will be bankrupt. They will be. And I don't know a company whose business model is to go bankrupt.
He is saying that DuPont will be bankrupt at one point of a time after everybody realizes that they are responsible for that.
Unless they change. And that is a stronger incentive than what you say, which is like, let's put a generic ban and you're free from whatever happened over the past 40 years. A ban is lame.
I'm not saying that if you put a ban on that they are now free. That makes absolutely no sense. I'm saying, and you should listen to that, if you don't ban, if you don't do that, the industry will not strive to replace it.
Okay.
And that is the point.
I'll give you an example about